This is a student example. It's Jordan Nunez. He cut out a whale design and it printed to look like this. So you can see that it's a mirrored image. If you decide to do something like letters, they have to be backwards because it prints mirrored. So you want to be sure that when you do your planning that you understand that all of your letters or anything is going to be backwards. Also, think about how it's going to print. What parts do you want to be colored with the ink or the printing material, and what color do you want to be the color of the paper? He planned ahead so that the black ink would print in the proper place, and he carved away the parts that he wanted to be white like the paper. So as you're planning your design, think of that. All right, let me know if you have any questions and we can probably get started. So we're ready to start searching for ideas. I'm going to go to Google. Now, if you want to be super creative and challenge yourself a lot, you could take your Lino Cut and you could trace it onto a piece of paper and then do a drawing that would be all your own, and then go and cut away from there. But if you want to have a little more guidance, then search for an image. I'm going to try to do a duck one. So I suggest searching for a pen drawing. That way you've got a similar sort of guideline that you would need for cutting. Let me see. So you want to pick something that's not too complicated. Like this one would be nice because you can see all the little cut lines that you would need to make. That's why a pen drawing is a good choice to search for, because you can see then all of these little lines that you would need to cut. I think this is probably more along the level of what I want to do. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into a drawing. So I'm just going to search Google Drawing and then go to Drawings here. So now you've got a nice canvas here to paste your image. Please make your canvas size. So go to Page Setup, go to File, Page Setup. And you're going to have to make your page custom. And please make it the size of a piece of paper. So let's go 8.5 by 11 inches. So now I've got the size of a piece of paper here to work with. Now I'm going to paste what I have copied of my duck, and I want it to be the same size as my lino circle. So I'm going to make this bigger and then crop it into a circle shape. Now you can change your crop to a circle in drawing. That's why we're doing this in a drawing and not a doc, because in docs you can't crop in your image into a circle. So you've got a circle now. And you want it to be the right size. So go to Format Options, Size and Rotation, then go 8 by 8. And then your circle is now 8 by 8. So I can click on that. I'm just selecting my image here. I don't want to do that. I want to select the crop part. Maybe I'll get my image the right size and centered and then worry about moving it. So I'm using the arrows to kind of move the duck around, and just using the corner sizer so that it doesn't warp my image so it looks too long or stretched out. All right, so that's nice and centered. I'm going to click off of it and then move it right in the middle so it'll print nice and not get cut off. All right, so it's getting a little. You can see that I've got this here, and that's okay because it's not like I'll be cutting there or anything. And if I'm really worried about it and I want a nice circle, I could put a border on here. And that way I have a guide to line up my, and if you want to change your position, you just double click and it'll go to a crop again. All right, so that's perfect. Now I'm just going to send this. I'm going to write my name here and I'm going to share it with myself. Actually, you would just be sharing it with me here. But anyway, so now I don't have, I'm going to print it and I'll be printing it for you. And then you will be able to do the next step. Okay, so we are going to take our image now that you shared with me and I printed. Then you're going to cut it out so that it's nice and round. And then you're going to want it to be just perfect there. It should be anyway if you did that part right. Then you're going to take your carbon paper, which is got a layer of carbon on one side. And you're going to want to tape that pattern side up onto your circle piece of linoleum. You're going to trace your image that you printed onto your lino. I'm going to tape that down too. You don't want it moving around when you're trying to trace. Now I used a pen to trace because it flows nicely. It's a different color. It's easy to see where I've gone and where I haven't. And it's got a blunt tip because you're going to have to push really hard to get your image to transfer. You're even going to find yourself ripping through the paper in some spots. So as you go around, it will be transferring onto your lino on the bottom. So you're just going to go around and trace everything. And when you're done, you'll peek, which magically, ta-da, I'd already done. So there it is. Then you're ready to cut. Okay, so we're ready to cut now. This is our cutting tool. It is pretty sharp here, and we'll use that to carve into this linoleum. This one is the smaller one with a pointed V shape. You've got more in the handle of your tool. This one is, whoop, it's got a number on it. This is a number 5. It's the biggest one you have. And then this is a number 3, and it's medium. So depending on what you're cutting, detail or large areas, you'll use different tools. Keep them in the handle so you don't lose them. When you are ready to switch sizes, you twist this, pull it out. Might be kind of tricky, you might have to give it a nice wiggle. Just be sure that you don't lose the insides of this. It's got 2 pieces. Don't lose those insides. They line up like that, and then they go here, kind of like an X-Acto knife. This goes on top, and you screw it in. Don't tighten it all the way. Then you put this in between there to sandwich it in, and then you turn it to tighten it, and it holds it in place. So when you're ready to switch sizes, you'll do that. Now this is the smallest one, and I'm gonna go around with it around the outside of my tracing. Always cut away from yourself. So you'll be turning this as you work. Never cut like this towards your hand, because if your tool slips, it'll come up and stab you before you can do anything about it. I have seen students do this before, and it is not fun. So always cut away from yourself and turn this as you're going. So you'll have your hand here behind where you're cutting. You're always really going to be cutting up and away from yourself. So you can see that I'm just starting to carve away. Now, once you've carved it away, it's gone. You can't add it in again. So be confident in where you're cutting before you go. You're going to want to just kind of slowly carve around. If you want to get deeper and do a bigger cut, you're going to want to switch tools. This is just for fine lines. You might have to go over it a few times. And you just kind of cut around and do that whole thing.